Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the Bible and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20. On August 14th, during the 7th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, some of the leaders of Israel came to request a message from the Lord. They sat down in front of me to wait for his reply. Then this message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, tell the leaders of Israel, this is what the sovereign Lord says. How dare you come to ask me for a message? As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, I will tell you nothing. Son of man, bring charges against them and condemn them. Make them realize how detestable the sins of their ancestors really were. Give them this message from the sovereign Lord. When I chose Israel, when I revealed myself to the descendants of Jacob in Egypt, I took a solemn oath that I, the Lord, would be their God. I took a solemn oath that day that I would bring them out of Egypt to a land I had discovered and explored for them. A good land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the best of all lands anywhere. Then I said to them, each of you get rid of the vile images you are so obsessed with. Do not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt, for I am the Lord your God. But they rebelled against me and would not listen. They did not get rid of the vile images they were obsessed with, or forsake the idols of Egypt. Then I threatened to pour out my fury on them to satisfy my anger while they were still in Egypt. But I didn't do it, for I acted to protect the honor of my name. I would not allow shame to be brought on my name among the surrounding nations who saw me reveal myself by bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. So I brought them out of Egypt and led them into the wilderness. There I gave them my decrees and regulations so they could find life by keeping them, and I gave them my Sabbath days of rest as a sign between them and me. It was to remind them that I am the Lord who had set them apart to be holy. But the people of Israel rebelled against me, and they refused to obey my decrees there in the wilderness. They wouldn't obey my regulations, even though obedience would have given them life. They also violated my Sabbath days. So I threatened to pour out my fury on them, and I made plans to utterly consume them in the wilderness. But again I held back in order to protect the honor of my name before the nations who had seen my power in bringing Israel out of Egypt. But I took a solemn oath against them in the wilderness. I swore I would not bring them into the land I had given them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the most beautiful place on earth. For they had rejected my regulations, refused to follow my decrees, and violated my Sabbath days. Their hearts were given to their idols. Nevertheless, I took pity on them and held back from destroying them in the wilderness. Then I warned their children not to follow in their parents' footsteps, defiling themselves with their idols. I am the Lord your God, I told them. Follow my decrees, pay attention to my regulations, and keep my Sabbath days holy, for they are a sign to remind you that I am the Lord your God. But their children too rebelled against me. They refused to keep my decrees and follow my regulations, even though obedience would have given them life. And they also violated my Sabbath days. So again I threatened to pour out my fury on them in the wilderness. Nevertheless, I withdrew my judgment against them to protect the honor of my name before the nations that had seen my power in bringing them out of Egypt. But I took a solemn oath against them in the wilderness. I swore I would scatter them among all the nations, because they did not obey my regulations. They scorned my decrees by violating my Sabbath days and longing for the idols of their ancestors. I gave them over to worthless decrees and regulations that would not lead to life. I let them pollute themselves with the very gifts I had given them, and I allowed them to give their firstborn children as offerings to their gods, so I might devastate them and remind them that I alone am the Lord. Therefore, Son of man, give the people of Israel this message from the sovereign Lord. Your ancestors continue to blaspheme and betray me. For when I brought them into the land I had promised them, they offered sacrifices on every high hill and under every green tree they saw. They roused my fury as they offered up sacrifices to their gods. They brought their perfumes and incenses and poured out their liquid offerings on them. I said to them, what is this high place where you are going? This kind of pagan shrine has been called Bamah, high place, ever since. Therefore, give the people of Israel this message from the sovereign Lord. Do you plan to pollute yourselves just as your ancestors did? Do you intend to keep prostituting yourselves by worshiping vile images? For when you offer gifts to them and give your little children to be burned as sacrifices, you continue to pollute yourselves with idols to this day. Should I allow you to ask for a message from me, O people of Israel? As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, I will tell you nothing. You say, we want to be like the nations all around us, who serve idols of wood and stone. But what you have in mind will never happen. As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, I will rule over you with an iron fist in great anger and awesome power. And in anger I will reach out with my strong hand and powerful arm, and I will bring you back from the lands where you are scattered. I will bring you into the wilderness of the nations, and there I will judge you face to face. I will judge you there just as I did your ancestors in the wilderness after bringing them out of Egypt, says the sovereign Lord. I will examine you carefully and hold you to the terms of the covenant. I will purge you of all those who rebel and revolt against me. I will bring them out of the countries where they are in exile, but they will never enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord. As for you, O people of Israel, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Go right ahead and worship your idols, but sooner or later you will obey me and will stop bringing shame on my holy name by worshiping idols. For on my holy mountain, the great mountain of Israel, says the sovereign Lord, the people of Israel will someday worship me, and I will accept them. There I will require that you bring me all your offerings and choice gifts and sacrifices. When I bring you home from exile, you will be like a pleasing sacrifice to me, and I will display my holiness through you as all the nations watch. Then, when I have brought you home to the land I promised, with a solemn oath to give to your ancestors, you will know that I am the Lord. You will look back on all the ways you defiled yourselves and will hate yourselves because of the evil you have done. Then you will know that I am the Lord, O people of Israel, when I have honored my name by treating you mercifully in spite of your wickedness. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. Then this message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, turn and face the south and speak against it. Prophesy against the bushlands of the Negev. Tell the southern wilderness, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Hear the word of the Lord. I will set you on fire, and every green tree, both green and dry, will be burned. The terrible flames will not be quenched, and will scorch everything from south to north. And everyone in the world will see that I, the Lord, have set this fire. I will not put it out. Then I said, O sovereign Lord, they are saying of me, he only talks in riddles. One thought. Flawed from the beginning. That is the story of God's people in the Old Testament. In this chapter, Ezekiel recounts Israel's history, and it's a bleak one. Even from the earliest days, the people are idolaters. God speaks of them and says, I took an oath to bring you out of Egypt, to bring you into the good land, and I said to them, each of you get rid of the vile images you are so obsessed with. Do not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt. But they rebelled against me and would not listen. They did not get rid of the vile images they were obsessed with or forsake the idols of Egypt. Try to put yourself in the sandals of the people of Israel for a moment. For almost 7 generations, your family was enslaved in Egypt. For 430 years, all you knew was slavery, all you knew was manual labor, all you knew was oppression. You and every ancestor you can remember labored for Pharaoh, king of Egypt. But then, one day, a deliverer comes onto the scene, Moses. And God uses Moses to bring you out to freedom. Moses goes to Pharaoh, says, let my people go. Pharaoh refuses, and so God plagues Egypt. And after 10 horrific plagues, the Egyptians finally let you go free. What joy and jubilation there would be, right? Wouldn't that be enough to want to worship the Lord? And then as you come out of slavery in Egypt, you have the Red Sea on one side, the Egyptians bearing down on the other, and Moses splits the sea, and you walk through on dry land. You come out in the Exodus. But apparently, All of these miracles from the Lord, all of this revelation from the Lord, all of this word from the Lord given to the people from Moses does not change the heart of the people because they still worshiped idols. And this also shows the utter powerlessness of the law to save. God brings his people out into freedom and says, if you just obey me, you will live. This is repeated over and over again in verses 11, 13, 19, 20, and 21. If the people would just obey the law, they would live. And if the law could not change the heart of this people, then why do we think it will change ours? Why do we turn back to the law thinking, well, rules and regulations this time, that is what will bring change to me? What is needed is for us to be purged of sin, which is what God promises to do for the people. He will bring his people through a purging fire, and he promises here a new return from exile, almost like a new exodus, where the people are made faithful. And we see that while the people do return physically from exile at the end of the Old Testament, that's just but a mere picture of the greater exile or the greater return that is promised to us in Christ. Because we're not brought home merely to some plot of ground, but we're brought home to God himself, and we're given a new heart and a new spirit, and the Holy Spirit comes and empowers us to truly obey the Lord, not because we are so great, but because he is.